Good evening, and thank you very much, Leslie, for the opportunity to join you folks this evening. I'm just disappointed that I have to leave duty calls, so I have to, but I was really looking forward to, the full hour and the after party. But, we can always wish, and reality, carries the day, right? But this is wonderful to be able to be part of this. I want to congratulate my colleagues who are behind this initiative. The Knowledge Equity Lab is a significant addition to our campus, not just as a physical facility, but as a place where knowledge is generated, challenged, shared, and repurposed for different uses, right? And so it's in fact a place where we come together to explore knowledges. And I think it's important for us to look at this as knowledges. And I think that is the sense in which, the lab is looking at knowledge. There isn't a single knowledge, it's a single story about knowledge and where it comes from. As you know, with our campus, this is pretty much at the heart of what we do. Equity questions are important. And so to be able to latch that onto knowledge, it's something that people don't think about a lot. And I think I'll just touch on a few things to tell you why that is important to look at that dyad between equity and knowledge. Because in fact, in a lot of places, knowledge becomes a proxy for differentiation, for stratification, and for valorization of different cultures and different people, right? And because there's a certain privileging of particular kinds of knowledge. And once you are, given primacy in that knowledge construct, somehow everything else that goes with you, gets elevated, right? And if your knowledge is not valorized, then by extension, you're not. And so it goes hand in hand with how bodies are appreciated, how cultures are appreciated, and what the contribution of others are appreciated. And I think, so it's a very powerful marker of difference and privilege, and we need to keep that in mind. And that is why I like this dialectic between, knowledge and equity and its opposites, right? Because I think it allows us not to look at knowledge as something that is naturally occurring, has no values behind them, that who has authoritative voice defines who has a place at certain tables and so on. And so these are critical issues that I think the lab is engaging with, and that wakes all of us up to, not to buy into the notion that what is put before you is a naturally occurring or natural or neutral, thing. So I think that is one of the important things that we think the work in this area is going to allow us to engage with. I think it's also important to think of knowledge as particularly, and Leslie was talking earlier about its relationship to technology and so on. And so there is this notion that there is a direct relationship between the forms in which knowledge is packaged and the value of that knowledge, right? And so the technology that inhabits the knowledge system then becomes, what we privilege. And so if we tend to talk about simple societies, right? And simple meaning that they're not at this stage of the technological, skill. And therefore, by extension, the knowledges that come from those societies are somehow less valuable than this, right? And so, the way we use technology and the kind of value we put on technology, has implications for how we construct knowledge. And I think that is important for us to bear in mind. And the other piece then is how, I'm raising this thing, I think, I've looked at some of the projects you're involved in. I think this will be interesting for people to explore. But the idea of knowledge and its commodification is foreign to certain communities, right? And so their knowledge in a lot of places is considered to be a community asset. And so to commercialize that is antithetical to how people construct their sense of community. You're part of a community, you share knowledge, this is a common. So the notion of commons, which is also one important thing that the lab is trying to foster, that knowledge is not something that we put under a bushel, knowledge is something that we share, because through sharing knowledge, you are able to aerate knowledge. And we all know when there's aeration, things grow better, they're better nourished, and so on. So having those interactions and intersections of knowledges allows us to enhance the wealth of that commons, right? That common knowledge that we share. But I think the other piece about equity and knowledge that would be useful to keep in mind is that knowledge is at once bounded and boundless, right? And the idea of knowledge being bounded, it seems to me, it's what should elicit humility in all of us, right? That we don't know it all, and that what we know may not necessarily be the best thing, out there. We just have not encountered other kinds of knowledges. And so if you look at colonial times, that was part of it, right? You're going on this civilizing mission because you know it all and others don't. And that has been the bane of societies for a long time, because other people think they know better than others. And so I think, being humble enough about the fact that we don't know it all and that knowledge is bounded is one thing. On the other hand, knowledge can be really boundless in that there is just a vast, infinite, sea of knowledge that is out there to be explored, and that we should be motivated to seek other kinds of knowledges. And that means that we have to go outside of our own spaces where a particular kind of knowledge system is constructed, and be able to engage with others and so on. So this is an area that is really dear to me. And so you can see, me taking a lot of your time, but I thought it's important to lay some of these things out, because that is the kind of critical eye that this lab is bringing to what seems like a mundane construction, called knowledge. And for me, particularly in the context of our commitment to inclusive excellence, this fits really, really well at the heart of what we do as an academic institution and as a campus. And some of you would have seen that we've got, hopefully coming up early in the new year, Indigenous House, right? And the idea of this beacon of, intercultural engagement sitting there on that knoll is a symbolic marker of why we think this is important, that in a place that has traditionally been Western knowledge focused, to say you're putting on this hill this other kind of knowledge that is as valuable as any other knowledge you can find, and that it becomes a place where we all gather and learn from one another. It's a symbolic manifestation of our commitment to inclusive excellence. So thank you so much for pursuing this work. It's great to see all of you working in common purpose to engage with these issues. And I promise you, the journey will be exciting, because there's a lot of exciting stuff to talk about intellectually, but also in terms of making an impact within communities. So I wish you all very well. Thanks for the opportunity to blah, blah, blah along, but this is my kind of 40, so I love it, and I hope you love it too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Principal Tettey. I know you have to go very shortly, but I'm so glad you're able to join us. I appreciate you taking the time, and I didn't really provide a full enough introduction. I apologize for that, because some of the folks here might not know the history you have with UTSC. You came 2 years ago, if I get the chronology correctly, and I have to secretly say out loud that you're the principal I've been waiting for 25 years. So at least I waited around long enough to get someone who can actually understand what I say when they say, instead of what are you saying? Go away. So so I'm really, really thankful for your leadership and for providing the kind of spaces that allow us to grow these kind of communities. So I'm sure we will be working together a lot more over the next little while. So thank you again for coming, and we'll report
I'll
back.
hang around for a little bit. I've got
Okay.
about
very good.
Some 5 minutes or so, so I'll hang around.
Okay.
And then I'll slip by quietly. Thank you.
Great. Okay.